Hi, and welcome to Wrong Way. And today, I'm going to show you this, the EASWE B20 electric wheelchair. So, let me tell you more about it. Wrong Way.
The new number is, please note, the new number is, new number is,
Sorry, the number you have dialed does not deliver. Synchronous orbit achieved. Operators are standing by. I have nothing to say.
Disclaimer first, this is not a sponsored video, but EASWE did send me this unit for free so I can test it out and show you guys what the B20 is all about. If you want to get an electric wheelchair like this, feel free to check out the links in the description. I also wanted to thank you sincerely for the massive amount of likes and subscriptions in the last video. I asked you for likes and subscriptions and you delivered. I'm super grateful, and this really keeps me motivated to make more videos and also helps to keep this channel afloat and business, how do they say that in business terms? Self-sufficient? Anyway, thank you. Hit the like, subscribe, let's get on to the video. And I have to be totally frank with you, EASWE actually reached out to me a couple months ago saying that, hey Adam, you might want to test this electric wheelchair. I was like, not really, I'm just testing electric unicycles. I don't know if that's the scope of my channel. And a couple months go by and I break my foot. And then I'm like, this is a totally new experience. And what's also really quite humbling, as I am quite fortunate to just have a broken foot, and lots of people have disabilities and they are not as fortunate as me just to, break a foot and then be fully mobile again. So I was like, okay, I might check this out. I might compare it to the just analog wheelchair I had for the time. So yeah, I can't go like that much in depth in terms of this device, but I can definitely give you just an insight into what it's like to use an electric wheelchair, how difficult it is for someone with a disability to just get around town. And as a reviewer, I can just give you sort of my insight on what it's like to just use this thing and how it's built, because for under $1,000, this is around $600 or $700 right now, discounted. I think this is phenomenal. We have a super sunny day today here in Poland, in Warsaw. Summer is really hitting it hard. With that said, let's start with the basics and I'll tell you how this thing arrived at my place and how easy it is to set up. So you'll get a box from EASWE and you'll get a folded wheelchair and a separate battery. We'll get to the battery in a second. There's no assembly required, which is awesome. You just essentially take it, fold it out, and then on the bottom you have a couple latches that need to get in and you need to push those in. The easiest way to do it is just to fold this one out as well, sit down, and then they lock in place. So then if you lock both of those in, boop and boop, on the back you have the motors, and then you can select if you can actually use the motors or if you can push the wheelchair. So push on those levers and you engage either the pushing mode, so both levers on the N setting when they're down, and if they're up on the D setting, then the electric mode is activated. Now, if you want to get the battery in, the battery is a 288 watt-hour unit, so the capacity is low enough to take it into a plane, and you can either charge it with the XLR port here, or very nifty, you also have an XLR port here in the control unit, so you don't need to take the battery out each time you want to charge the wheelchair. The weight of the wheelchair, if you're traveling with it and you want to put it into a car, is about 20 kilograms, and the battery itself weighs 2 kilograms. So for my wheelchair with the additional pouch in the back, the weight comes in at about 22 kilos. The battery has all of the certificates, they are on the site, and it charges in about 6 hours from 0 to 100%. The range should be around 17 to 18 kilometers according to the manufacturer with one battery, and with two batteries, of course, you get double the amount of that. I also did a range test, more on that later. I will tell you how much battery I have left after today's review.
So in today's ride I did about 8 kilometers, which was a very demanding 8 kilometers if I might add, and I had 2 bars of battery left. Now I don't know precisely how those bars translate into maximum range, but I think that the absolute minimum range should be around 10, maybe even 12 kilometers. Of course, depending on the way you ride, the outside conditions, and the weight of the user. My weight is about 72 kilos.
You can always buy a second battery as well. All right, so how do we put this thing in? We have a slot for it here on the bottom. The red button should be on the side, and you just put it in like that. As simple as that. According to the site, the wheelchair is also IP66 water resistant. Now it's really important that those two latches here on the side are clicked in, because otherwise, you know, the wheelchair is not that stable. But luckily, if you have one of those rear levers pulled out, you'll actually not be able to drive or ride on this electric wheelchair because, well, the motors are disengaged. It will beep, and then in order to engage them, you just pull on the lever, and then you can go.
The reason for it is the disengagement of the drive unit and the automatic parking brake that I'll get to later.
The controls are super simple to use. You have a joystick that controls the turning, going forwards, going backwards.
And that makes, for example, opening doors a lot easier because you have one hand free. Or if you just made yourself a hot cup of tea at home and you want to carry it somewhere on the wheelchair, well, you just need one hand to drive yourself somewhere, which was kind of nice for me.
Boom. And the great thing is that each time you come to a complete stop, the parking brake engages. So once you come to a stop, the thing won't just roll down. Oh no, you can hear this click once again.
Although sometimes at steeper inclines, it didn't engage right away.
And then the wheelchair is you can't actually move it.
And as I do the stuff the wrong way, I tried to abuse this a little bit. And even though the motor did have torque here to brake, the tires didn't. So just try to stay at the 12 degrees of maximum incline. I would say decline to keep it safe. I mean, probably you wouldn't do that anyways, but you know, it's wrong way. That feature is super useful though. Take a listen how it engages.
So even if you're on a slope, that's super convenient. You just don't need to apply any sort of parking brake. The top speed is around 4 miles an hour or 6 kilometers an hour. And you have a selection of modes to choose from the lowest to the highest one. I just go in the highest all the time. There's also a horn. And here you have the power button to turn on and off. Probably that's what I should say first. And here you have also a couple of LEDs that will tell you the battery percentage. You can also adjust how far this whole panel goes. For me, it's just about right. It could be a bit further to the front. Maybe that's something they could improve in the future. I'll tell you how it rides and what the performance of it is in a second. But first, let me just walk you around all of the features on the actual wheelchair. You can lift up the
armrests by pressing on the red buttons here.
The same thing applies to the armrest on the right side. Of course, you can fold up the foot plate. There's also suspension here on the bottom, so surprisingly it can handle a lot, but more on that in a second. The whole thing, the whole construction, I believe this is aluminum, but it has this sort of carbon fiber-esque vinyl to it, which makes it look a bit nicer, I suppose. The seat is very comfortable actually, it's very plushy, and the position is nice. Now, it's not a ergonomic wheelchair that is adjusted to your dimensions, but still it doesn't rattle. It has some flex to it if you go over, you know, cobblestone or some sort of rougher pavement, but it's definitely comfortable. The backrest is also nice, and you get a set of 4 airless tires, so there's no tube in those, there's no air in those, which is very easy for maintenance of the wheelchair. You won't get any flat on this one. You also get seat belts. And I also got an additional pouch here in the back. That's where I have all of my camera gear. I have my drone. One thing I don't like about this pouch is that it just has a single piece of Velcro here. So yeah, quite easy just to open up by itself. That's something I don't like so much. Here you also have the charger, very small, very nifty. The motors are 250 watts each. There's also some weaker wheelchairs by EASWE that are just 200 watts each. And there's also spaces here to get those anti-rollover wheels in the back. I don't use them here. Sometimes I like to pop a wheelie in order to get over something, and I could even do some mild off-roading with this. I was quite surprised about it. I think those wheels in the back would be suboptimal for this use case. All right, but let's get on to the ride of the EASWE B20. And first of all, I have to say that just the experience of, using a wheelchair or being even slightly disabled, where I had the comfort of always, being able to walk, being able to cycle, was quite humbling. And it definitely shaped my worldview more towards seeing accessibility as a very, very important key sort of element of just being in public space. Now, when it comes to using this wheelchair, I have to say it was very pleasant. The speed is what it is. You can't really go faster legally, at least in Europe, when it comes to the top speed of such devices. Well, the legal top speed when you want to go in anywhere you want into, buildings, parks, well, essentially anywhere a pedestrian can walk or a human can walk inside. I think I really liked, compared to the analog wheelchair I had, is that if I go over terrain that is slightly angled, it's not as annoying to push the wheelchair around with one arm stronger than the other. Here you just have the joystick. This just does everything for you.
The wheelchair is also very powerful, and I could go up to 12-degree incline. This is 11 to 12 degrees. That was stated on the internet. Keep in mind though that you have to do it head-on, as both motors operate at full thrust then. Same with the top speed. If you just turn slightly to the left or to the right with the joystick, it won't go the maximum speed. So yeah, something to know.
One thing that is slightly annoying sometimes is when you just try to turn around with the wheelchair. The wheels can be pretty close to your feet and hit you if you're not properly on the footrest. But if you are on the footrest, well, you're safe to go. The wheels won't hit you actually. I don't really like the backing up sound. Maybe it's mandatory, but it is kind of annoying. You can't turn it off. But in general, this wheelchair has a lot of torque, and that's something that I was really surprised by. It's very maneuverable. Of course, you can just spin around, and right now I'm on grass. Those motors have a lot of torque, and even going up some mild off-roading here, going up a not very steep incline, but still an incline with some roots, this thing can still do it. And for under $1,000, I think that is quite impressive. So I think that in total, EASWE made a great job of making a electric wheelchair. For how long I've been testing it, which wasn't a long time, I've been really pleased with it. But if you have a wheelchair like this, feel free to share in the comments if you did like the experience as well. I even went over tram tracks with it, some mild off-roading. I don't know if that's something that you would particularly do, but it shows that it's fairly capable for what it is. I hope you liked this venture into, well, personal mobility devices. And if you're still here, leave a like on the video, subscribe to see more content like this. I'll see you in the next video. See you soon.